Hello everybody, my name is Rook, and this is a new series that I'd like to start inspired by another YouTuber by the name of Flats, who, as of this recording, hasn't uploaded a video in almost 2 years. I recently started playing Project 1999 again on the Green server, so with respect to him, and in the hopes that he does come back at some point, I thought I'd like to share my own adventures across Norath with you all. I played Everquest live around Velius and Lucklin release, but I was super young, so I have a really fractured and nostalgic view of the game. And I played on Project 1999 Blue for a while as an erudite wizard, but I only reached my early level 30, so this will be the first character that I start on the Green server. Being that this is my first character on this server, my choice of race and class is particularly important and somewhat limited. Making a melee class for your first character is significantly more difficult in this game. To explain why that is, I want to talk about the way that equipment works in EverQuest Classic. The main thing is that there are no level requirements on gear in this game. There's a damage cap based on your level, and certain on-hit abilities only trigger after you reach a specific level, but any character can equip any piece of gear that their class and race can use. To me, it seems that this game was either intended for melees to play twinked, or that this game is just so brutal that playing untwinked feels like you're doing something wrong, even if that's just the way the game was intended to be played. An untwinked melee class will spend just as much time resting and waiting for their health and mana pools to regenerate as they will fighting monsters and actively playing the game. Caster classes have spells and pets, which don't scale nearly as well with equipment. A naked enchanter still functions at like 70% of their equipped capability, but an unarmed warrior isn't good for anything. And now it sounds like I'm totally trashing melee classes in this game, and to a certain extent I am, but they are still playable even as a first character. Hybrid melee classes and monks are still decent to play, even as your first character, but warriors and rogues are basically non-options for players without resources. The other choice that you have when you're creating your first character is what race you want to be. In this, there are two schools of thought. Making a character with the intent to make an optimized build and push difficult content, or making a character that you find to be cool and interesting even if they're going to always be marginally worse than an optimized character. Optimizing a character is well and good, but you aren't going to really be seeing the fruits of your optimized build until late into high level play. If you don't see yourself raiding on this character, and the extent of your goals is to just adventure around and see all the interesting stuff in the game while being able to solo competently and group occasionally, then a character that you just find cool will definitely be sufficient. This begs the question of if my intent is to play this character to level cap, and to that end I don't really plan on it. Playing a character to level cap takes a really crazy time investment, and I just don't think that I have the attentional stamina to play this game consistently for months. If this series takes off and you guys are just loving it, I'll keep making videos as long as you guys enjoy them, but I'm not sure how long I'm going to be playing this character if it was just me. The only other thing that your race choice dictates for your first character is your faction and starting zone. Dark Elves, Ogres, and Trolls are all evil races and will be attacked on sight in any of the good aligned cities. Ixar are hated even more so, and they're not even welcomed into the evil cities, only welcome in their home city of Cabalus on Kunark. In the end, I decided to opt for a high elf enchanter named Net, and as you can see, I'm not staying in Greater Phaedar. Instead, I'm making my journey across the Butcher Block Mountains and boarding a ship to cross the Ocean of Tears to the City of Freeport. There's a few reasons I'm doing this. Greater Phaedar and Fadewar in general are fantastic starting zones, maybe objectively the best in the game, but I really don't like spending time there. Greater Phaedar is just a big rectangle with the render distance turned way down because the Phaedarks are these big, dark forests and visibility is more limited. In the past, I've spent a really embarrassing amount of time aimlessly wandering around, completely lost because there's hardly anything to indicate where you are on the map. If you're lucky, you can look up and see Kelethin and get a general idea of where you are, but if you're not directly underneath the city, you could basically be anywhere in the zone. The East Commonlands as a zone is significantly easier to navigate in, even if it's a bit more dangerous. When you're leveling in the East Commonlands, watch out for the high-level griffin that wanders through the area in the middle of the zone. High-level players will generally kill it when they see it, but it can spawn unexpectedly and sneak up on you and one-shot you if you aren't careful. You should also be wary near the southern, or desert side of the map, as invisible, level 11 air elementals run along it and will ruin your day. Freeport as a city is also pretty cool. It's a good city, but it's got all sorts of evil races living in the tunnels and secret passageways beneath the city, and it's filled with all sorts of secret entrances to the evil class trainers and things. They're also fairly tolerant. We got Boomba up here at the gates just hanging out, and he's an ogre who sells pickled human remains, and none of the guards harass him at all. You also got Ping Fuzzlecutter out front, who sells the only drink that my characters will drink in this game, the Fuzzlecutter Formula 5000. Now that is an enduring drink. The main reason, however, that I'm traveling to Freeport is because this is my first character, and I plan to make some money as I get through the first 12 levels here. The East Common Lands are the home of the Tunnel, the player hub of classic Everquest. Being that the faction system in this game is very stringent, having a player hub be located in a main city that a large portion of the player base wouldn't be able to access wouldn't make sense. Instead, the adventurers of Norath meet in this tunnel because it's in a very central location and also has no guards or wandering monsters to harass people. As you're leveling here, you're going to want to keep an eye out for bears, skeletons, and other animals. Bears in particular drop high quality bear skins, which a tailor can convert into a handmade backpack, a straight upgrade from the basic backpacks you can buy from the store. They're always in demand, so you can sell a high quality bear skin really quickly for 20 platinum. Bone chips drop from all types of skeletons, and are used as reagents for the Necromancer and Shadow Knight pet spells. If you're a Necromancer or Shadow Knight, hold on to those so that you don't have to buy or farm some up later, but otherwise you can sell them for 2 to 5 platinum per stack, depending on how nice the Necromancer that you meet is feeling. One other thing that I hadn't seen posted or spoken about, but that made me a fair amount of early cash in this period, are low and medium quality skins of all kinds. They don't stack, and they're super heavy, especially for an enchanter like Net. However, you're going to come across a ton of them just leveling in the zone. The rate for pelts of this quality is 2 platinum pieces per pelt, but almost nobody is going to buy that from you because they're so cumbersome, and they're only used for leather padding, which is a blacksmithing component and is fairly niche. Instead, what you're going to do is try and sell them for the regular price while you gather like 15 of them, and then offer all of them at a heavily discounted rate, around half of the price. People will jump at the cheaper goods, and that's doubly good for you because these skins are otherwise just garbage, and now you're getting 1 platinum piece each for them. The zone also almost always has a high population and people leveling characters in it, so it's generally really easy to get into a group at one of the 2 orc camps if you're inclined, and high level players will also wander by and see you leveling and toss you a suite of high level buffs. If a friendly druid comes by, he essentially turns on God mode and infinite damage for the duration of his damage shield, and you can quickly gain 25% or 50% of a level just by running around aggroing everything that you can see. One of my favorite things about this game is the lore of the world of Norath, and there are some interesting things going on in Freeport. Freeport began as a small fishing village in Norathian prehistory. It was kept under the radar of the Combine Empire until its fall by a high elf named Atlatal? Ataltal, who then moved in and began building the city up and founding the Institute, which would one day become the Academy of Arcane Science. As the city began to grow, it attracted the attention of the nearby Dark Elves, who decided to stamp out the city and sent a force of necromancers, shadow knights, priests, warriors, and rogues to destroy the city. This group called itself the Divine Rage since they were acting on behalf of Inruk, the Prince of Hate. The Divine Rage also conscripted the army of the Death Fist Orcs. This conflict came to a head in a battle known as the Long Night, and ended with the leadership of the Divine Rage being mostly killed or captured, and the defeat of the Death Fist army. The remnants of the Divine Rage fled Freeport and reformed in secret, changing their name to the Dismal Rage, and working their machinations on Freeport to this very day. Ataltal also vanished during the Long Night, never to return, and Freeport spent 5 years without leadership before a group of traders and craftsmen formed the Coalition of Tradesfolk, who regulated commerce in the city. Paladins and clerics from the Order of Mars Fist came together to patrol the Commonlands and establish trade routes to Highkeep. A group of mercenaries known as the Steel Warriors was formed in response to the returning threat of the Death Fist Orcs. The city prospered. After several years, those who led the Order of Mars Fist received a vision which inspired a crusade to Fadeward. Preparations began, and after several months the crusade began, leaving the city nearly empty. Sir Lucan de Lear, an honorable paladin in good standing, was left in charge of the city. Lucan did well for a time, hiring more mercenaries to safeguard the city in the absence of the Crusaders, but grew to covet his popularity and influence. The priests of the Order of Mar decided to confront him, and sent one of their own, a man known as Sentry Dilius, to demand that Lucan give up his control of the city. In a fit of blind rage, Lucan killed Sentry Dilius and was stripped of his paladin status. The Order of Mar and Lucan's now corrupt Freeport militia prepared for battle, but without the support of the Steel Warriors of the Academy of Arcane Science, a decisive victory could not be won for either side. Lucan feared that when the Knights of Truth returned from their crusade, they would oust him, and made secret arrangements with the Dismal Rage to protect his position. When the Knights of Truth finally returned, they too were unable to unseat Lucan and the Freeport militia. It is in this uneasy stalemate that Net makes his way to the city of Freeport. The famous trading city and the rich wilderness that surrounds it will certainly offer him more opportunity for riches than the austere hallways of Felwith or the gloomy woods of the Feydarks.
He aims to make a small fortune trading skins, and use that money to buy some equipment in order to return to Fadewer and settle the score.